So, um, hi guys, welcome to today's session. And I would want to first of all apologize for last session that I missed. I was very busy with my um, graduation and clearance stuff, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, we're here. So the last time we talked about the different tools and technologies used in protection, cybersecurity. And in earlier sessions, we've discussed about cybersecurity, um, how cybersecurity is everybody's business. We talked about cybersecurity from an individual standpoint and from organization standpoint. We talked about how personal information are very critical, how they can be stolen. We talked about how social engineering can be used, for example, against an organization, an institution, generally like that. And we talked about we talked about this introductory level of technologies and tools that I use, the firewalls, the IDS and IPS, the the CM tools and the SOA tools. Right. Today we are going to be talking about um, how these tools are used, or how security come into play in an organization level, right? So today we are talking about security operations and incidents. Now you cannot talk about security operations without talking about um, SOC, the Security Operations Center. It's usually called SOC. So many of you are going to end up working as SOC analysts. You're going to take Security Operations Center based roles in your career, in your journey. So we'll be talking about this. We'll be talking about security teams. I'm talking about some tools. We've talked about some of the tools before. We still talk about them and frameworks that is used, right, in mitigating cybersecurity risks within an organization. Like I said, we've talked about how social engineering can impact an organization, how attacks can impact an organization, impact the business. We talked about them from the previous classes. We've talked about um, some of the tools and technologies that are used, but how do they fit? How does it work? Right? So, security operations involve proactive and reactive measures to protect an organization's digital assets. And digital assets can be employee record, can be trade secrets, it could be anything that belongs to the organization that's important for organization processes, important to the business, but are in digital format. That is, they can be stored in a computer. They are all digital assets, or even the devices themselves. All right, that's um, um, that's a digital asset. So they can be in terms of the devices like gadgets. They can also be in terms of information stored in the devices in the gadget or data. They could be the services that run within the organizations. They could even be the organization's application itself. If the organization runs a particular service as a product as a service, right, or software as a service, whatever it is that's digital that is owned by the organization, that's critical to the organization or critical to the business of that organization, right, is that organization's digital assets. And all of the proactive and reactive measures to protect this is security operations. And proactive and reactive means proactive as per the things done to prevent or before the incident happens. Like before an attack happens, a security incident a synonym word we can use for security incident can be like an attack. But you could say security incidents are like negative or harmful occurrences that can happen that have the potential of impacting the business um, operations negatively. So we could call that security incident. Proactive measures are those things you do before these things happen in order to mitigate these risks, in order to check them, to prevent them from happening, or to prepare you better whenever they happen so that you know how to respond to them. Then reactive measures are those things that you do when these incidents have happened. That's the reactive measures. So whenever there has been a breach, whenever there have been a hack, what are the things that are put in place to be done quickly in order to limit the damage that can be caused by that security incident, right? So all of these things are security operations. Now, an organization, usually big organizations, usually have what they call security operations center, which is a dedicated space, a dedicated resource or facility or a room in the building within the organization that is responsible for real-time monitoring of monitoring and response of cyber threats. That's to say, within this organization, sorry to say, within um, this room, we could call it a room or a facility, whatever it is. But we'll stick to a room for now. Within this special room in the organization, all the processes, everything happening within the organization is monitored. All the traffic, the all the incoming traffic, the outgoing traffic, or in simpler terms, all the communication, all the data being sent and received, all the internet connectivity, all the transactions, all the logins, and everything that's been done within that particular organization. I'm busy, please. I'm busy. I'm busy. Sorry, I'm busy. Sorry about that, my nephew. Um, right, all of those things is being monitored so that when a suspicious activity is being carried out or when a suspicious event is happening, something that's not typical or that's not usual in the normal business process or the organization's baselines that have been put, right? They begin to actually detect them and to be able to tell if there is a threat, an active threat, if someone is trying to hack or breach the network security, if someone is trying to do something detrimental, or if there's just any suspicious activities. So in a security operations center, real-time monitoring is happening. Real-time means as you like live on the go, right? So every data that has been sent out is monitored. Every data that's sent in, like right, is being monitored. Whatever it is that happens, is being monitored. Another keyword or phrase is incident response. Incident response is critical for mitigating impact of security breaches and minimizing damage. Incident response are the things that you do when there is a security incident, the response to a security incident. Now, this is very, very important. It's very, very key in security operations, security processes within an organization, so that the damage can be contained, can be mitigated, right? The damage can be minimized. So, it is very, very important to know what the security operations, the role the security operations center plays within an organization. So typically, if we have a bank and in that bank, a lot of processes happen, a lot of transactions happen, but in a typical workday, what happens in an organization, the level of the kind of traffic that is expected is known, and their sources are also expected, and those things, a baseline can be drawn so that you can say this is what is termed normal. Now, anytime traffic beyond what is usual to be normal, what is considered to be normal, is observed on the network, you can quickly know that something is going wrong and you begin to investigate it from there. Now, whenever it is an attempt to like a hacking attempt on the network, you see that from there, because they are actually monitoring the traffic real time, you can immediately begin to do things that is going to like mitigate this threat, that can block this threat. When there is a suspicious file being downloaded, immediately it can be flagged. Anything that's abnormal can be um, can be detected, right? In a security operations center. Now, a SOC, as we define it, is a centralized unit responsible for continuous monitoring, threat detection, and incident response, like we explained before. So, real-time monitoring, as we've talked, is observing everything that's going on from that location, from that room, from that central point where you can see everything on the network, right? Then there's something called log collection and correlation. That is to say, everything that everyone does in the organization is recorded. That's log collection. The moment someone opens his computer and logs in, it is recorded that this person has logged in at this particular point in time. When the person logs out, it is recorded that this person has logged out at this particular point in time. Now, the correlation aspect ensures that it is already known and expected that a person is going to log in at this particular time and log out at this particular time. I'm going to use a scenario whereby a particular user is logging in around 12 a.m. in the night, whereas his expected work hours is 9 to 5, right? But then you are saying that this person is logging in around 12 a.m. It means something is suspicious. You can now begin to investigate why is this person logging in around 12 a.m. Eventually, you might discover that the person is working overtime and then it goes. But if you have pushed your investigation and you see that that person is actually not working overtime, then automatically you know that something is fishy. This user is not supposed to be active by 12 a.m. Right? So that's log collection and correlation. Everything anybody does, not just about logging in or logging out. The kind of the emails that people are receiving in different departments can be logged. The firewall activities can also be logged. The transaction can also be logged. Log is just a collection of all the events that happens within the network or within the I can say within the organization's network. Right? If you're looking at it holistically. Do you understand? And from the SOC team, the security investigation and the response can take place. Like the scenario whereby um the that particular user is logging in around 12 a.m. Yeah, that can spark up an investigation. And then when you discover that this person is actually not in the office, how is it logging in? You can now know that something suspicious is happening, right? From that moment, an immediate response can be issued. For instance, that system can be locked out from that central point to prevent whatever suspicious activity is happening, so that if it is an attacker trying to gain access, or if it's an attacker that gained access to the network through that system at that particular time and it is immediately noticed, the system can be disconnected from the network from that point, from the SOC room or from the security operations center, right? So to minimize the potential risk or right threats whatsoever. So there is also coordination with other security teams from the SOC room, from the Security Operations Center, because the SOC, the Security Operations Center, probably will not be the only security team that you have in the organization. But if they are monitoring and then they are detecting threats, they can notify all like other units that are responsible so that further actions can be taken. That's for one. And then secondly, um, from that particular point, they know where the risk points or the risk factors, they know them. They can also communicate with the other team and encourage or advise on how to go about protecting these particular systems. All right, I'm sorry about that. My nephews and nieces, everyone's home, so I was trying to shut them up. Okay. Um, Yeah, these are some typical activities that happen in the Security Operations Center, right? Security Operations Center also consists of people. There are people who are there who use the systems there. That's the staffing. So typically, you are going to have cybersecurity analysts. At the beginning, I said this is possibly a role that some of you will take on in the future when you begin to work in cybersecurity. This is not the only cybersecurity role, right? There are hackers, there are ethical hackers, there are um, They are security engineers, they are network engineers, they are application security experts. There are different kind of security roles, but then just like they have all those roles, that's how we also have security analysts that work in a SOC team, thereby called SOC analysts. And their job is to monitor and respond to security alerts. So anytime a security incident has been noticed by some of the tools or have been flagged by or have been reported or alerted, what's in English? Sha, whenever a security incident has been detected through any of the tools used, security analysts are the people who monitor them and respond to them. They are the ones who read and interpret these alerts to know what goes and what should be blocked. Right? There are security engineers who are responsible for the overall security infrastructure for the system, setting up the tools and the technologies that are going to be used in the network in terms of security. Then there are managers who are the bosses who are up there and overseeing the operations happening in the security team, right? In the security operations center. So, right, even in the SOC analyst level, there can be other sub levels. I think there's SOC 1, there's SOC 2, and thereabouts, right? So it's the thing of ranking, but the bottom line is it is people who work in the security operations center, and these people can be you, they can be any one of us. So um the key security teams in an organization are the SOC team, like we talked about, but they are not the only ones. They are the incident response team, the threat intelligence team, security engineering team. Okay, the incident response team are the ones who are there whenever something has happened. They know what to do next and how to contain the incident. Whereas the security operations center guys are the ones who monitors and detect to make sure that they catch threats before they happen. But it's very important to note that there is no organization that is foolproof. There's no organization security that is foolproof. There's no system that cannot be hacked. There's no network that cannot be hacked. So despite all the effort you put in all the money and all the funds, everything that you put to build a very, very strong security operation center team, to build a very strong SOC team, it is still possible that some threats can slip through and cause a data breach or a network breach, or can cause havoc in the organization. Right, when these kind of things happen, then the incident response team are the ones who take up from there, right, and see how they can reduce the damage that can be caused by this incident that has happened. And then that's the reason for the word you see containment there, right? Then there are threat intelligence teams who are there to do threat modeling, to like analyze certain um, maybe say behavioral pattern, or analyze some techniques, the tactics that attackers or hackers use, or maybe like analyze malwares, analyze activities, analyze things, and draw conclusion as per categorizing um, these things based on their threat levels, and knowing if these things are things that can be detrimental to the organization if they actually do happen. So we understand what the threat is, but the threat is those things that have likelihood to cause damage in an organization. And then simply put, threat intelligence is intelligence gathering on threats, on cyber threats. So you collect and you analyze cyber threats. And if you understand these threats better, you're going to protect your organizations better. To understand, then there's infrastructure, security infrastructure engineering team, which are the guys who design and maintain security framework and the network infrastructure for security. I hope that makes sense. And then we talked about the CM tools and the SOA tools the other from our previous sessions. And we said the same tool are for aggregation and collection of logs from different sources to a central point, right? So every activity that is going on is collected, is logged with the tool. The same tool is the security tools that you can find in a security operations center, right? And then the SOA tool as well. So they do centralized log management. Centralized log management means at that center, all the logs are collected and reported there. And then we've talked about correlation and analysis. We talked about correlation and response, logging and correlation. We talked about all of that. These are done also using a security information and event management tool. Talk about real-time monitoring and reporting can be done with the same tool. And then last class we talked about some of the popular um, SIEM tools, and then I'm bringing it back up again. There's Splunk, there's Google Chronicle, and IBM QRadar. Talk about them in the last one. We're going to talk about them in greater depth when we are discussing them individually. Remember, this is the introductory part of our cybersecurity journey. And then, yes, incident SIEM use cases can, that's to say, SIEM tools can be used for, that is either the QRadar or the Splunk or any of them can be used for detecting insider threats, for compliance reporting, for threat hunting, and automated incident response. So, what does detecting insider threats mean? Earlier, we talked about threats when we're talking about attackers and type of threats. Talk about insider threats. Those are threats within the organization, right? Every organization, every maybe let's say staff in an organization have the level of access that you have on the network, on the various systems in the organization, right? So it is very possible that one of these staff can misuse or attempt to misuse the level of access that is given to them. That's number one. Number two, they can be careless, and their carelessness can have security repercussions on the organization. And then thirdly, people can attempt to, you know, break the security of their devices within the organization and attack the organization's network. So that's another example of insider threat, right? And how they can impact organization. So a SIM tool can be used to detect these things. Even for example, when someone using our previous analogy, right? When someone who's supposed to work from 9 to 5 is logging in around 12 a.m., that's a suspicious activity by an insider. You understand? So you could see that you could detect insider threats through this. There's compliance reporting. That's to say the framework that is being followed within the organization must be one that complies to the regulatory requirements within a state, within a country. Everything you do will not be outside of what is allowed within the jurisdiction of that country, of that state, as far as security is concerned, as far as cybersecurity is concerned. So um, the same tool can actually do compliance reporting, and then there's threat hunting, which is the um, the searching for threats, for suspicious files, for malwares, uh, for 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 what they call it, unusual activities, unusual behaviors, like over too much traffic that can possibly uh, cause denial of service, um, what anything that can be considered as a threat, right? That can potentially disrupt the business processes or organization processes can be hunted and flagged using SIM tools. Then there's the automated incident response, which is more of what the SOA tool does, but we are going to go back into there in a bit. Then we could say that the same tools can actually be used for that. So Um, we go next to the security orchestration, automation, and response tools. So what they do is they work with the same tool, but the difference between the same tool and the SOA tool is that they go a step further by making incident resolutions, by actually performing actions. The same tool does what? Aggregates log. Security orchestration and automation and response tools actually respond, and then they respond automatically. So this automatic response to threats or to suspicious activities now reduce the workload from the SOC team, from the security experts working in the SOC team. And so they have time for other things. And then it also helps reduce the time. When as a person you have to go through all of the logs and find the suspicions one and then respond to it, like that might take more time compared to when the system is automatically detecting and responding. Then intelligence gathering can be done automatically. We talked about threat intelligence last time, right? That same tools can be used to do intelligence gathering for threats. So this um, the SOA tool can do this automatically. And then it also, just like the other one, as we also said, that is done within a SOC, right? Said it enhances collaboration between security teams. I will have to really apologize because I'm doing today's recording from my family house, and then there's a lot of activities. Please, I hope it's not so. I myself am getting distracted a little bit, but I hope it's not so bad. I hope you're able to still follow. Okay, but I'll be ready to answer all of your questions. Just send them through our communication channels, the group chat, and I'll be there to answer whichever part of it you're not clear on. Okay, so yes, these are benefits of the SOA tools. Now I want to talk about the difference. Well, I've just talked about the difference, but let's look at them. Look at some of them from um, using this table. I think that can help simplify it. So when we said for data collection, the SIM tool does what? Just collect logs, and the SOA tool what uses the data that the SIM tool collects for automated response. Mhm. Then we say for alert management, the SIM tool can generate an alert whenever there is suspicious activity going on, right? Then the SOA tool what automates the alert triage. Then in terms of response, there is usually manual intervention. That's the response is done by the security professionals in the SOC room or the members of the SOC team, right? They have to like analyze the logs, determine which event what is suspicious or considered a threat or might be dangerous. Also, they seem to also yeah, true alerts, of course, yes, but then they respond to the alerts the based on what is reported to them by the same tool. But bottom line is it requires manual intervention, it requires manual response. But a SOAR tool can automate these things, right? So there is something called a security playbook in an organization that sets the baselines for what goes and what doesn't, and how something should be done in terms of security, right? The step-by-step approaches and all of that. We are going to go into security playbooks in the coming slides. But then, yes, this thing are already outlined there. So based on this, the SOA tool can actually make responses. Don't you So incident response and its importance. All right, trying to shut my trying to shut my nephews and nieces up again. Anyways, I'm back. The importance of incident response. We talked about incident response. What incident response is, right? Uh, the reiteration might not be necessary right now. I hope you understand. But it is important because it minimizes damage and downtime. If you have already prepared for what will happen before it happens, then you know what to do when that thing happens. It means you are able to minimize the level of damage that's going to happen when they happen. And then when you already know that this can happen when so thing happen, then and you prepare for it, then your system will not experience the downtime that it would have experienced if you were not prepared, right? So if you are running a bank and your bank every day a lot of people come and do transactions and you make money from that bank, whatever business, I just don't know why I keep using bank examples though, but whatever business, right? And um your organization experiences a hack or a denial of service attack or something within that period that your system is down or damaged, you're not able to do business. It means you will lose money. But if you have prepared for it, you'll be able to minimize the damage that can be caused and the downtime on your system. Then it can also invariably help you save funds if your system have minimized. Did I say save funds? It might help prevent the loss of funds if the time the system should be down based on the attack, the system are still up. It means you are able to save yourself from that financial loss and then reputational loss. Imagine going to the bank one day and they said, "Oh man, this bank has been hacked." Or you go to a business where somewhere that you trust, with your assets, with your resources, and then they go and then they tell you that they have been hacked. I mean, they will lose their reputation to you, right? So that's just it. So, but if that organization is able to um, handle incidents like this whenever they happen and business can continue smoothly, then the customers will even trust them more. That's to say, they have a very, very strong security posture. Their network, their defense system is resilient, right? So that's another importance of incident response. And then incident response also ensure that you are your processes are in compliance to regulatory frameworks that are put in place within that state or within that jurisdiction, within that geographical location or country. I don't know what the word is, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so that was on the light hand. Um, some countries already have um, data protection acts um, and some other um, things, other frameworks that are already put in place to ensure that businesses are well protected and the data of individuals that are being run in that business, in that organization is also protected. And anytime that organization fails to meet up with the standard, they can be fined, right? It can lead to serious court issues, right? So I don't think so. I believe no organization will want to be faced with this kind of situation. So it's kind of like force them to comply to the regulatory frameworks, you know, in terms of incident response that have been put in place, right? So that's um, that's an importance of incident response. Incident response life cycle according to NIST. So NIST model, NIST is National Institute for Standard and Technology. Is an American um, standard and technology framework for a lot of things, including cybersecurity, but it's technology generally. It's American based here, but it has been adopted around the world, so we could still use it. Everyone uses it across the globe. So according to them, and this is a very simplified version of this model, very simplified, but the incident life cycle goes thus: preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication, and recovery. Other people like to add post-incident review. I'm going to explain these things, each and every one of them, starting from preparation. These are all the things that you do to prepare for an incident happening. It can include the policies you develop within the organization to protect the organization from attack, from hack, from all of those threats and the threat actors, both internal and external. So it includes the behaviors, the security culture within that organization, what everybody does, what is allowed, what goes and what doesn't go, how they handle their devices, how they handle their data, how they handle information, how they handle access to systems, to resources, and all of that, right? So the development of those policies with regards to security and incidents is part of the preparation, and playbooks are also another example of preparation, and the playbook contains all of these things documented. And then there is the training. On training, yeah, training involves, yeah, actively training the staff. Training, we started, and I've said over and over that security is everyone's business, right? uh So even within an organization, everybody's, you know, should be trained on how their impacts, their actions or inactions can impact the security posture of the organization where they work, how they should respond whenever they are in the face of threats or yeah, and all of those things. Well, all those things come together to form preparation. Then the next is detection and analysis. Despite all of these things that you've put in place to prevent a threat actor from impacting your organization, since no organization, as we've discussed before, or as we've agreed before, no organization is foolproof. No security is foolproof. There's no system that cannot be hacked, right? As long as that stands, it's still possible that threat will slip in. Now, when a threat slips in, despite all of your efforts, the next in the life cycle is detecting that threat, analyzing it, evaluating it, seeing if this is an actual threat that can cause damage to an organization, determining if it is minimal, if it is critical, if it is dismissible, or if it is a must block, right? There is a scale that can be used to measure the intensity of this security incident, right? And then there are also things called indication of compromise that can, you know, that are used in detection. How you get to know that that something is wrong in the system. And then when this indication of compromise have been used to detect a threat, analysis is carried out to identify and to evaluate that particular threat or that incident to determine if it is harmful or not. Now, if a threat slips in, say a virus or a malware, a worm, whichever one has entered into the PC, into one system and has corrupted one system of the network. Remember, we said malwares can spread. We said virus can spread, rather. And we said worms can even self-propagate. That is, they can even move from system to system on their own. So if a system or couple of systems have been detected to have been compromised, containment is that process of keeping the damage minimal, preventing it from escalating, preventing it from spreading to other systems. Now, when you have figured out all the systems that are infected and separate them to contain the virus or the malware like that, the next thing you do is to begin eradication process. That's to say, you are wiping that system clean or wiping it, um, making it free from that virus, that malware, or whatsoever threat that it was, and cleaning it. It can be a full formatting, it can be detecting the virus and cleaning it. You can use sandboxing techniques, whatever it is that you can use to like remove that threat from that software, from that system, or from the network, from that part of the network that has the issue. Like that, that's eradication. Now, after doing that, recovery. Have your files been lost? Right? Can you get them back? Do you have backup? Hmm? Or even if the system needs to be completely replaced so that the business can come back to full normal working operation again. So all of these things help to stop the attack and remove threats and restore normal operations of the business of the organization. And then we talked about post-incident review that I said some text like to add it as the thought, add it somewhere within the framework. But yeah, it actually still goes. These are the things that happen after a security incident has happened, has been contained, eradicated, and the organization and all their systems have gone back to normal operations. So a review is done after the incident. Now you begin to analyze what actually happened. How did it happen? What did we miss? And how can we get better to prevent this kind of thing from happening again, to improve the defenses? Now you know if you need extra layer of security. Now you know if you need extra hardware or extra security tools. Now you know if you need extra staff or whatever it is that you need based on the lessons that is learned, that was the reason for the compromise in the initial time, or that's the reason for the system falling victim of that attack, or the organization falling victim of that. Whatever lesson that has been learned can be can be reviewed, and this can also help to better improve the defenses of the organization and to generally improve their security posture. So um, incident response teams and their roles. We talked about the SOC staffing, like Security Operations Center staffing. Now we are talking about the incident response teams and their role. So there is the incident commander, who is the person who leads the response efforts, the forensic analyst, there's a threat hunter, there's a legal compliance advisor. There are many other stuff. This actually varies from organization to organization, from framework to framework, from company to company, from country to country, like that. So this is just an example, right? I can give you insights on some of the key people that are required inside um, inside an incident response team. Okay, so we said I said we were going to discuss security playbooks. Now this is the part of security playbook, and we said, like we said before, security playbook is a step-by-step guide for responding to specific threats. You know that um, you have a security operations center, you have incident response team. Sure, you understand. So, and you have a security. Yeah, all of these people are working together to defend the organization. Earlier, we also said that a SOA system can use the security playbook to automate response. So basically, the security playbook documents all of the processes that can be followed should an incident respond since should an incident occurs within the organization, or even the thing that should be done to prevent the incident from even occurring in the first place. So you understand? So this is basically a document that a guide, yes, like a procedural documentation of what to be done to prevent or to mitigate security incidents or cyber threats. So we said playbooks are important because they ensure consistency in responses. Every time these things happen, you know that if you follow this step, you are able to solve the problem, right? Well, after a security incident happened, in the last slide here, we talked about post-incident review. Post-incident review can help you update your security playbook based on the new lessons that you have learned from the recent security incidents. Now, when that kind of thing happens again, you know what to do immediately. And also that playbook can also document what should be done to really prevent that kind of thing from happening in the first place, right? And so you said we are also saying now that the that security playbooks reduce response time and human error. If the step-by-step procedures have already been documented, it is less likely that the person trying to respond to that incident is going to make mistakes if it's just following step by step, right? And it helps in automating routine security checks, right? Um, so that those are importance of the security playbook. Um, and so when you want to develop a security playbook, what do you look out for? Common threats. What are the common threats that organizations face? You determine them and analyze them, evaluate, and you um, know them. And then the next thing you do is how develop a or define step-by-step response actions to those threats. And those threats, even if they are not common, going back to point one now, even if they are not common, hmm, if they have happened to you before, they can they can the procedures you took to solve the problem that time can be documented. So not only the common threats, even previous threats can also be put into consideration in developing the security playbook. Okay, now there is a step-by-step incident response actions, like how to go about responding to this particular incident. Then automation. Whenever there is a SOA system, this security playbook now is used as the feeder, the information set or the instruction set for that SOA system. And then the last in the line is testing and refining the playbooks regularly, subjecting the system, the network, hypothetically, or even what's the word? Like simulating attacks, subjecting the systems towards this to these simulated attacks and testing. So whenever it can be improved, the improvement is done so that whenever the actual attack happens, the system can be resilient. The the organization network can be resilient, can be able to withstand these attacks when they happen. So security playbook are very important within a SOC team, within an incident response team, within an organization and the organization security team, whichever name they want to call them, right? So example of security playbooks are ransomware attack playbook. This one is the kind of ones that will focus on how the organization can go if they want to like deal with a ransomware attack, right? The steps can include um, the the step-by-step approach to isolating the systems or applications, whatever that's let me just use systems for the sake of this conversation. Isolating the systems within the organization that have been affected with this ransomware. Do you remember we talked about a ransomware? We say ransomware hijack a computer and encrypt it, that locks it so that the user, the owner, does not have any access to it. So all his files are being encrypted, are being locked. You cannot do anything with it until you pay a specific amount of money before it's being released to you. We talked about that, right? So when you are faced with this challenge, a this kind of playbook shows you the step on how to isolate, then how to do your investigation, and what to do to restore the affected systems back to normal. I hope that makes sense. There's also phishing incident playbook. That's when there is a um, phishing attack, right? How do you go about containing and preventing email-based threats? Step by step, right? And this one is specific um, to phishing. That's why it's called a phishing incident playbook. There is the distributed denial of service attack playbook. So these are actions you take, right? Step by step actions whenever there is a large scale network attack, right? Within the organization. This is not all there is. There are lots. In fact, any kind of security threat that you can think about, a security playbook can be developed for it to mitigate those, right? And it could be very, very big, it could be simple, it can be in any format possibly, but this is what it does. Good. So, action plans in security operations. These are the key strategies if you want to ensure effective security operations in an organization. First, these are not all. This is not. This is just like yeah, some of the things that can be done. There's. I don't know. I don't think anybody can actually have any resource or material that exhausts everything. We can only try. But this is the one I can come up with for now, for the sake of time that is allocated for each session. So we could say this one goes. So the first on this our list here is conducting. Did I just say conduction? Oh my god. Conducting regular threat assessments. Like earlier we talked about in the earliest part of our discussion, we talked about some people called white hat hackers. Those people that hack system in order to discover the weaknesses in the system so that they can make the system better, so that they can protect it better. What these people do is to do threat assessment or vulnerability assessments to help find weaknesses within this system. Some people call these people penetration testers, right? So they will find the weaknesses in the system or do threat assessment in this system regularly to see um, how strong the security posture within the organization is. You understand? Another thing to do, which is also very important, is to improve security awareness training. Everybody in the organization must know security, must understand the security implication of his actions and inactions. They must know how important he is in the organization. They must know how attackers can use him to get to the organization, right? So it is very important that you improve security awareness training. It can be you can the organization can even do it intermittently. They can do it monthly or biannually or whichever way, but they should just make sure they are doing a lot of security awareness training. And your organization is only as strong as your weakest link in the staff. Okay, so keep security tools and policies up to date. Anytime your security policy, you discover that there's a kind of threat or attack vector or whatever it is that is not uh, initially handled or addressed in your security policies, you update it. And then if you are using security tools, you make sure that these tools are up to date because attackers are innovating. They are they are increasing in sophistication. Their intelligence level is increasing. The kind of things they can do is increasing every day.